Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Enjin, and just before we do, we look at Bitcoin, of course, to understand kind of what that's looking like, because it's important to note that we've had some trouble recently. So if you've been living under a rock and you didn't know, Bitcoin is pretty much on the downside. It's trying to make a run here today, of course, but just bear in mind that candlestick hasn't closed yet. So until a one-day candlestick closes above 58,000, that is not considered a support. It's considered a resistance, right? So just bear that in mind. We'll see what happens here soon, but it definitely looks like it's picking up momentum and trying to get back on track. It has recovered a decent amount in about one candlestick. We're looking at about 4.5%, which is quite significant considering in the last 5 trading days we've seen about a 15% decrease in Bitcoin. That'll impact the market just a little bit, right? We've all felt the squeeze. So all in all, not bad, not great. It is what it is for Bitcoin. Just consider dollar cost averaging as the price continues to decrease or obviously even increase at this point. We got to find out, of course, soon where the price is going to go, but we want to wait for that one-day candlestick to close first to get that affirmation that we're on the right track. Right? So try not to get too ahead of yourself and try not to get too hyped up, but I can confidently say that it's pretty much neutral at this point for Bitcoin. We need a little bit more time to understand it's become stabilized. All right. So just bear that in mind. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here today at the wonderful Enjin. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Oh, and just before we do, if you are new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to become better traders. So if you enjoy what you're learning here today, of course, maybe consider subscribing to my Patreon community, where I actually share trades for every single trade that I take. Of course, there's one thing, but more importantly, we all learn and grow together and become better traders. It's an amazing experience, and I can't be happier, honestly, with the results. We've got over 200 members so far, and it's only growing stronger. So thank you so much to my patrons for requesting that I cover this. All right, so taking a look here at Enjin, let's see what's going on. A lot of movement since yesterday. I'm so thankful I sent out that signal, of course, when we were in the low threes, because we are almost already over halfway to our profit targets. This is awesome. All right, so Enjin's doing well. Okay, so in the last 24 hours, we're looking good. Let's take a look here. Obviously, there's some pretty important indicators. We already know that we're above 50 and below 70 on the RSI on the one-day chart. Awesome stuff. We've got a potential convergence on the MACD occurring as well. That could just continue to push the price higher. So all great things on the macro here for Enjin. I like what I'm seeing on the one-day candlesticks. Now, the 4-hour chart here, definitely looking good. Let's quickly peek here, though. We are at a 5 on TD sequential. We had enough consolidation here to get a reset. So that hypothetically means we've got, 20 to 32 hours, somewhere in that range, of bullish momentum left in the tank, right? So all in all, keep in mind the price action has increased quite significantly in the last 8 to 12 hours, partially because Bitcoin is back on track, again, tentatively back on track. And the simple fact of the matter is when Bitcoin does well, Enjin does very well, okay? And it's actually done very well considering the reason why I took the position as well here recently for our community is the fact that, when Bitcoin sold off twice, these 2 major sell-offs, Enjin never came lower than the major support level here at about 280. So that kind of reaffirmed itself because most coins were doing, doing this when Enjin's going sideways during that turmoil, right? So we have a lot of unfortunate, momentum in the market to the downside. Enjin was actually surviving and holding quite well. So that gave me a pretty big indication that it was a good buy signal. But looking at the 4-hour chart, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at some other things here as well. We're above both moving averages, which is fantastic. We're below 70 on the RSI, more room for growth, but I like that it's not trying to break through the 70 on the RSI. It is getting stopped out by this resistance level here at about 350, which is pretty standard. And it needs to continue to test and eventually break that, right? Because you can see kind of an ascending wedge pattern here forming. There's a strong likelihood that it'll continue to consolidate in this range and then break the upside. Looking at the 1-hour chart, let's go ahead and see what's going on with the old Ishimoku cloud. Obviously, we're well above that, and if the price were to kind of retrace and continue to consolidate sideways, we'll see that 326 would be reaffirmed as a nice strong support level. So I like the fact that this already strong support level, which you can see was a strong resistance, now a support, is going to work as a stronger support level here with the cloud effectively breaking into it. So in case you're not familiar, the Ishimoku cloud is notorious for being a very strong support and or resistance level. So that is very helpful to have that as an opportunity, as kind of a fallback if something were to occur. So in other words, say Bitcoin just decides to change its mind, go back down to 56,000 or maybe even 54, we may see that hold as a pretty strong support. Likely not if 54,000 occurs, but you get the drift. All right, so let's take a look at TD sequential on the 1 hour. We're at an 8 now, so it's actually healthy and good that the price is going sideways right now, right at this resistance level. And the main reason why is just based on the simple fact that we need to have good, healthy consolidation patterns in order for the price to continue to increase. So, this is actually very, very good. We want to see this. It gives us that staircase pattern that we're looking for, and then we can just see a healthy continuation of the upside. Because if it just ramps up right now and tries to go crazy, then we're going to have a problem based on the simple fact that it's outside that standard deviation line. It has to kind of retract and come back. And what I mean by standard deviation, if you look here and you can see this, let's see if we can make that a little easier to note. So look at that. See these green lines here? That's the standard deviation lines for the volume weighted average price. So when you take the volume in the last 24 hours and you express it as a price, you get a ways in which the price should only work within, right? This is like that expand and contract scenario. It can only expand so far in order to continue the price upwards, and then it has to retract based on the fact that the volume is holding the price in place. Volume is a strong support and resistance indicator. A lot of people overlook it, but it's probably one of the strongest indicators you can find. In fact, volume helped me identify the crash before it happened recently, right around 64,000. So I can tell you that it's important to look at volume, and in this case here, you can see obviously where this candlestick went too high, got too big for its britches, it had to come back down. So now we're within the standard deviation lines. We're going to allow that to contract and effectively help the price action increase later by consolidating now, right? So that's a good, healthy thing. We like to see that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at the prediction here and see what's going on and call it a day. So look at the 4 hour, big picture. All right. So big picture, and this is more immediate, right? Because obviously these Fibonacci retracement lines are built on the recent highs, not necessarily where the price is at currently. We'll look at this again later. We'll draw another Fibonacci retracement line once we get to our goal. But for right now, the obvious goal, at least for our community, is 392 as a profit target. Now, when it comes to $4 being I believe the all-time high, we need to understand that is basically going to be the biggest catalyst there. In other words, once we can break that and hold above, then we're going to be in good shape. And what commonly happens too, just say the price were to continue to do that here soon, right? It comes up, tests, and then eventually breaks. It's rare for the price just to keep shooting straight up from there. What it usually does, it comes down and it tests the previous resistance, now effectively a support, and then it ramps up. So just be prepared for that. You should have another opportunity if the price were to break above that to get a slightly better average down. So to me personally, why wait? I think you should dollar cost average now. Enjin is in a great place. It's in a good, it's got the right ecosystem. Everything's doing very well. And I think you would be in good shape to consider adding to your position at this point if you haven't already. But again, dollar cost averaging is probably the best effective method at this point. Don't just take your entire bag and put it in right now. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to be smart about it, right? 10% now, 10% tomorrow. Keep doing that as you get closer to your goal, right? And if you're setting trades and you're doing trades and you're not setting a goal, you're doing yourself a disservice. You have to know exactly where you want to go and what you want to get out of something before you get into it. Every good trader will tell you the exact same scenario. It's called risk tolerance, and traders have risk tolerance. Gamblers do not. Okay, so if you're going to be gambling, all well and good, have some fun, go grab some meme coins. But if you're going to be serious about this, set some profit targets. Always set 3 and have a trailing stop loss and even a trailing profit percent, right? There's a lot of good things that you can do effectively to make sure that you maximize your gains, because really good traders are really just those who are very good at managing their risk and taking profits while they still can. They're not greedy diamond hand holders. Not to say that's a problem. It's okay if you want to hold on to something for as long as you'd like. That's investing. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. But you're never going to take profits if you never cash out, right? You're never going to make money if you never trim or get a little bit out at a time. So either way, set those goals, set those targets. We're all very good about doing that, at least in my community. I'm trying to teach everybody how to become better with their risk management. So if you could improve in that scenario, feel free to join my Patreon community, obviously before rates increase next month. But more importantly, I think it's definitely something that you could benefit from. We have over 200 members, and it's amazing. Awesome experience. So look forward to getting to know you better there. If you don't join, that's perfectly fine. Continue to learn as much as you can from the videos here, and I really just deeply appreciate you joining me here and being part of this. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing the next video. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care.